Hello and welcome to our first in the series specials here on Rivalry Family Media featuring the Leominster High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Todd Robbins here for RFM, joined by the president of the Leominster High School Athletic Hall of Fame, Frank Steffanides, Vice President Bob Healy, and happy to have you along with us. As I said, this is the first of a series of specials you'll see here as part of our partnership between Rivalry Family Media and the Leominster High School Athletic Hall of Fame, bringing you information on the background of the founding of and the outgrowth and outreach of this fantastic organization that is a part of the Leominster High School athletic community. Gentlemen, I want to start first kind of with the founding, how this organization got started. Kind of tell me the story. I know a lot of these things, it's like somebody called somebody else and thought it was a good idea, but Leominster was kind of a little behind the eight ball here. Fitchburg certainly has had their Hall of Fame for a number of years. Other organizations, other schools in the community have had Halls of Fame. Leominster was a little late to the conversation. Tell me how things got started.
Well, it all started at a football Hall of Fame evening when Frank Steffanides, myself, Don Ciccolini, I think a couple other people were sitting at the table at that. And we're saying, why is there not a Hall of Fame for the rest of the sports? I mean, what's just for football? And that's how it started. We got on the phone and called a few other people. Are you interested in getting going? And that's how it started. Frank called a couple of people. I called a couple. We got Emil Johnson involved. We got Carl Baker, Gil Trombley, Pete Michaels, and that was kind of the first group that got together and said, let's get it off the ground.
And of course, getting things started from scratch isn't just a matter of getting a group of people together.
Right.
You all had to kind of agree on a premise, and you were kind of biting off a real large portion of Leominster High School athletic history, also known as all of it.
100 years.
At that point in time. So not an easy starting point. What was that like when you guys sat down at the first meeting and said, okay, we have to cover and represent a large group of history?
Well, our first meeting was January 2014, very first meeting. And we set up a bylaws from there. We did a lot of legal work. So Dom did a lot of that with a couple of people. We did a lot of legal work, official bylaw, everything was set up. And that whole first few months, we did all the guts of the whole association because we needed to get it set up legally. And then we started, it was easy right away because so many athletes that were just out there, no one had touched in all sports. First year we had, I had 12 sports involved the first year. It was very easy. And that was our goal, to get all the sports. Every year we want to get as many sports involved in each class as we can, whether it be individuals or teams. We started with getting state champions first.
Okay.
We got those are still working on those. Swimming has a ton left still, but we're still working on those kind of things. And that was our initial premise, to get those done. And we did that the first 2 years at least. And in the third year we started kind of finishing it up. Now we're on our fourth year, which is going up this summer up here. Next induction is Saturday, May 2nd, and we plan to get fourth class up here at that time.
How many folks have been inducted to this point in time? 4 classes in?
Fourth class vary in numbers. It's like 10 or 14 individuals and 2 or 3 teams, depending on what is out there.
Okay. In any one class, you do
The
that?
first year was like 14 individuals.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And we had 3 teams.
It was huge.
And then I think we went down to 12, and now the last year, the last one and this one, we got 10 individuals and a couple of teams.
The very first year, obviously, you had like no doubt about it. There were people that absolutely would have to be, if you're going to have an athletic Hall of Fame,
Right.
There had to be that series of people that you're like, okay, we have to have them in order to create that. Point some of those names out.
Well, one that stood out right away was Bobby Johnson, basketball. I mean, he was known as one of the best players ever to come out of here. That came out right away. And then a couple of baseball players that we had, Mike Marchand and Henry St. Cyr was also a basketball player. And then we had a state champion, Ben Sanchez, in wrestling. And
We had a soccer state champion. We had a baseball state champion.
right.
That's what we kind of did the first year. And we had Danielle Lund from tennis. She was one of the best speakers that spoke
Amanda
the whole night.
Kerouac from swimming.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the plaques outside of the audit gym here. We saw a couple right there.
And you've certainly filled up quite a bit of
Yeah,
that wall in 4 classes, and only 3 of them are up at this moment in time. Your initial motto that keeps kind of your guiding point, right, is honoring our past, inspiring our future. Discuss the significance of that motto.
We've honored the past, obviously, with what we've done, and doing a scholarship in our induction, we could get to the future too, because the future is where we're going. And we got to make sure we get those athletes involved too. And we got to, after this, hopefully we'll heard a little bit more, so people know more about us. A whole process is going to be out there for them to use.
And one of the reasons that we wanted the wall to be up here was so the students here could see it now. So they know what the past and what the tradition has been and some of the legacies that are carried on, so.
You guys alluded to it, and obviously the founding of this organization comes after the Football Hall of Fame, and as many in the community know, there are two halls of fame that exist out there at this point in time. They are not associated. They are very different organizations, but you all also do recognize the folks that are inducted into the Leominster Football Hall of Fame as well. So talk a little bit, I think this is one of those like elephant in the room distinctions that people are going to want to understand. First, they are two different organizations, two different missions. You guys have a much broader mission. They are working off of one sport.
Well, they started way before we did, and they've got their entire system going in one direction. It's tough to change direction with doing it. We honor them on our wall. If you look to the right of our wall, we have a plaque honoring all their honorees. So we try to tie them in. We talk to them all the time, and it would be great to get together sometime, but see what happens.
When we do the booklets and the bios of all of our inductees, we do include a lot of them, whether they also did play football, or I got pictures of them that are also in football as well as the other sports.
That's right.
Some of the things that have stood out to me attending bowl banquets over the last few years, I think that really stands out, is hearing a name called at the football banquet and then coming to your banquet and hearing about all the other exploits that this particular athlete did. I think about Mr. Rochad being one of those. When you saw him at football, those numbers were staggering. When you then added into the fact that he played like 3 other varsity sports during his 4 years here, you got a complete picture of his real story.
Many of the athletes that we put in are multiple sports.
At least
They could be
two.
listed all of them, some of them.
There are very few are one sport. Like Danielle Lund, probably one of the few that was one sport.
Few, or maybe a wrestler or a swimmer, it's just
They're
one.
more specialized, but if you're a ball player of any kind, you're at least 2 sports.
And of course, that speaks a little bit to how society athletically has changed and will change over time with kids specializing in one sport versus, folks that you are currently catching up with and inducting into the Hall of Fame were multi-sport athletes. And that speaks a lot to how they developed and grew as athletes and led to a lot of their success.
I think the cycle of one sport is going to cycle right out after eventually when parents figure out it's not a good spot to go with your kid. You have a more wide background so they develop as adults, not just college students.
When I think about your mission statement, and it's pretty simple, it's very, very straightforward. It says the Leominster High School Athletic Hall of Fame is to honor those athletes, teams, coaches, and individuals who have contributed to Leominster High School athletics through their service, performance, dedication, commitment, and accomplishments. It is our hope that we will not only preserve the rich athletic history of Leominster High School, but also to inspire current and future athletes to strive to one day take their place in our Hall of Fame. I'm not just hearing you have to be a champion athlete and have to, have run the farthest, jumped the highest, been out in front of your team, been the superstar scoring, all of the points that your particular group has. There's a lot more qualifications here than just seeking to athletic achievement.
Yeah, we do try to encourage the academic part too as part of the background that we look at. But their athletic prowess is the predominant aspect we're looking at. They don't have to be a superstar, but if they're a multiple solid player, it's easy to pick those kids too. The superstars are easy to pick out. Okay, you're a great pitcher, you're a great quarterback, whatever it is, it's a snap.
And one of the things that we've done also is when we make out our booklet, our souvenir booklet on the individuals, a lot of the pictures that we get, we include from the yearbooks, and we try to include some of their activities outside of that. One of the ones this year going in, we have she was the vice president of the National Honor Society. Somebody else that was very active in another, endeavor. So we try to get all those things involved too, so that points that out to them.
The complete picture of the type of experience that they had here.
Oh, yeah.
You all have 2 big fundraising pushes that you go throughout the year, 2 big events that lead into your banquet, which is ultimately your 3rd event in a given year. The trivia night during the winter months certainly stands out. The golf tournament in the summer months, those are kind of your 2 big pushes to help you guys raise the funds in order to keep this organization going. Why did you choose those 2? They're very different types of events. They do fit in their seasons very nicely, but why those 2 types of events?
Well, we needed something. We look at sponsorships for our booklet. for the banquet, which is huge. If people we like to get that word out, we could use a lot of help on that aspect of it, as Bob runs that. And we just looked at stuff. Don Piccolini had been running trivia nights forever, so that was easy. We just fell right into that one. The golf tournament kind of came out of general discussion, and that takes a lot of work.
Richie had started a golf
Yeah.
tournament for baseball when he tried to include
Right.
baseball, so that just involved into the Hall of Fame. It's a combined tournament we use for both groups.
And that speaks a lot to, obviously, both the range experiences, the different types of people that you have involved in the committee, and how important it is to have people from diverse backgrounds. Talk a little bit about the other members, of course, of this broad board of directors.
Well, there members we come by chance. I ran into Bobby after one of the banquets. Hey, listen, we need you on the board, and he's been a great find. Pete Michaels, we've known forever. He was my coach way back when. And Jay Joseph came in through Lynn Denning, who's got a hiatus right now with her family. Joe joined us. Joe Quinn, who's done a great job for us. Emil Johnson was there for a while. Carl Baker was there for a while. We are aging, and that's why we need to bring in...
Gracefully
yes,
for the record.
we need to bring in
At times.
other people who are, and male, female, it doesn't matter, that can contribute and kind of take our place as we go on. People getting, not doing well health-wise sometimes. Don Piccolini's another one does a great job for us.
We were lucky to have, we tried to get people like Carl Baker and Emil and Gil Trombley we had at the very beginning too, who knew the histories.
Right.
And I knew many of the people that went through, either they coached them or they were watching them as way back, so that was because we still got to catch up at some of the old-timers
Yes.
out there we haven't got yet. But there's a lot of players in different baseball players that we have to catch up on, and basketball. It's a lot of work trying to get it all.
We really like to have a couple more people hopefully through this media project, we can get people interested in joining us. They can get a hold of me anytime, give me a buzz, and we can talk and come to a meeting and see what's going on.
And of course, it is so important that I agree with you in the sense that you're not just going all the way back 100 years and starting to work your way forward, a decade or two at a time. As you mentioned in your first class, Ben Sanchez, is somewhere in the early 2000s in his experience. Lindsay Delachiai, again, early 2000s. I know went in your last class. Kerry Conway going in this year. So you guys are not so much just trying to go decade by decade and play 100 years of catch-up. You are trying to diversify your classes.
Well, the other thing, too, that limits us is the nomination process. Online, we have a nomination process, and after we've done the first class, maybe the second class a little bit, we really needed help from the community, and we had to go looking. Thank God we got Bob Sav has been a great conduit to the older athletes because he played way back then. But and I coached, Bob's coached, so we know a lot of athletes as we go through with them, and it's important that we have that process going.
You mentioned your nomination process, so some of the guidelines that you're looking for athletes, coaches, and contributors to Leominster High School athletics. With athletes, some of your guidelines include a graduate of Leominster High School and a part of the alumni corps for a minimum of 10 years. For non-athletes, coaches, and contributors, retired from coaching for a minimum of 5 years, and then along with years of service, contributions, and leadership. Talk about why 10 years? 10 years just feel like about the right distance from your playing career?
Well, I think what it did, it separated the young crew so we can take care of the old crew, basically. A little more space to do. You got a great ball player right now who's coming out as a graduate, but we got a lot of other ball players that did that a long time ago. So we'll take care of it's the history of it, more like, and those kids will get their due diligence when the time comes, I think.
When it comes to this nomination process, you mentioned you are awfully reliant on the names that people put forward. As you mentioned on your website, Leominster Hall, let me get this right, LeominsterAthleticHOF.com. LeominsterAthleticHOF.com should be at the bottom of your screen. When you look at, the names that are put forward, you go to fill out the form, as much information as they can provide. What are the important things that help you all in your process of judging some of these candidates?
I think, well, we look at if they were maybe a team captain, all-star team, Telegram Gazette all-star, or Sentinel all-star, if they had records of points scored, that would be one, of course, with some of the basketball, or in baseball, or pitching record, or batting average or RBIs, things like that, or championship, those are the things that you look for right away, you know. And if they played the varsity sport for 3 years, and got how many varsity letters maybe that they had, that could contribute. That would include the multiple sport aspect,
I think something that people tremendously undervalue at the high school level, especially now because information is so readily available, is that back even 10 or 15 years ago, records, quote unquote, were kept on a piece of paper that didn't always have lines on it that ended up
That's the hardest thing to find.
somewhere in a file somehow.
Trying to get data from these people.
It certainly
Hard.
has to make the process really difficult. So
Yeah.
the more information people can provide forward certainly helps.
You go back into the 50s when the women played, and they played few games and nothing kept on them. So that took a lot of work to get those people. We've got a few of them, and that's credit to the group. Again, Bob Sapp does most of that stuff. He goes into that. So he has a lot of credit for doing a lot of stuff for. He's great. But that's what we're looking for.
Is the information, the background, the details, any statistics that they would have. All of that helps to push forward your process and being able to
Well,
honor
one
that.
of the contributed, our first inductees was Bruce Willett, swimming. So he nominated his grandfather, or his father. So fortunately, somebody was able to get some paper clippings from papers back, this was in the 30s. He was Mr. Track.
There's a few people like that.
And,
There's a few.
so they were able to find that for him, and that was pointed out. Well, that's a great addition, But that's what we need to get, more of this information that comes up, in the archives of different athletes.
So as people are going through their houses,
Yeah.
talking, of course, with relatives or what have you, when they have those scrapbooks, clippings, those kinds of things, you all are welcoming any and all information to the archive.
Absolutely.
As we speak.
Whether nominated or not, you're welcoming any and all information as well to the archive. Leominster Athletic, HOF.com, Leominster Athletic Hall of Fame, or Leominster High School Athletic Hall of Fame, or Leominster High School Athletic, HOF, on Facebook. That's where you can find this fantastic organization. And then you can look forward for more of these specials on Rivalry Family Media throughout the coming month of March. We thank you so much for being a part of this first special to lead things off. For Frank Steffanides, Bob Healy, I'm Todd Robbins, saying thank you so very much for joining us. And until next time, so long, everybody.